What's up guys, Asian here again with another PTS video, and today we're going to be taking a look at shields and how they're going to be playing out in a PvE scenario as well as a PvP scenario. So there's been a lot of changes to shields throughout this PTS cycle, but I think ZOS has finally managed to figure out what exactly they wanted to do. Of course, this is still subject to change. There's still one more PTS patch as well as the PTS2 live different changes that might be made. So we'll still be keeping an eye on this, but here's an update as to how shields are working, and I'll go jump into Cyrodiil and show you basically how much I'm able to stack shields while I'm in Cyrodiil. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do here is just kind of show you guys what the shield size looks like on live. Not on live, in PvE scenarios. So this is your typical PvE setup right here. So you have Zahn, Spell Strategist Body, so your front bar. We're running our gold food, so we have max health is around 16.6k, max magic is pretty high, 38.5k on our front bar. So shields right now, so I should probably specify that the Sorc shield, so empowered ward, and then the light armor shield annulment and those morphs, both of these have a 40% max health cap on their strength. So right now the tooltips are not accurate. The tooltips are bugged right now, so not showing the actual amount of damage shield that I'm going to be getting. But if we go ahead and swap over to our shield bar here, you can see here our max magic here is significantly lower because we don't have bound Aegis and we don't have inner light on, so we only have 31.6k max magicka here. When we put up our shields, we can see that we are getting the 40% cap here. We're hitting the 40% cap. So 6854 is 40% of 16590. It's actually a little bit more than the 40%. So I think right now there's still a little bit of a bug where it's giving you a little bit more than the 40% cap, but it's still kind of pretty much close enough that you can say that it is 40%. And we can do the exact same thing with our light armor shield, so harness magicka. And again, the tooltip is still bugged here, so you can see here that it says 721, but it's not actually going to give a 721. So you can see here that the shield is a little bit smaller compared to our Sorc shield. It lasts obviously a little bit less, and as well as I believe it costs more magicka compared to our Sorc shield, but we are still hitting pretty close to the 40% cap. So in terms of PvE, your shield is pretty much, unless they change how your max magicka contributes to your shield size, there should be no issue at all getting to that 40% cap. Now there is a one difference that I do want to mention here for these two shields, and that is the hardened morph, which boosts it up to 50% of your max health instead. And then the dampened magic morph, which boosts it up again up to 50% instead, as well as along with the secondary effects as well. So up to 50%, so we should see about 8.8k, so that's what we see here. And as you can expect, we're going to see the exact same thing with hardened ward as well. Again, a little bit higher because of that bug where it's giving you a little bit more there. Now there is a CP node that people are talking about, and that's going to be Bastion. So Bastion right now increases the effectiveness of your damage shield by a certain percentage point, and when they say effectiveness, they really mean shield size. So on live right now, if you have 10% in Bastion, you have 10% additional shield size. However, because ward and dampened magic / harness magicka, those are typically the shields you're using in PvE, Bastion's pretty much going to be useless because you're capped. And you can see right now I have no points in the Bastion, and I have no issue at all hitting that cap. I'm at 85.68. And if I decide to put some points into Bastion here, so let's just take all our points out of Hardy and put them in the Bastion here, you'll see that it doesn't change my shield size. I'm still capped at 85.68. I'm still capped at that 50% shield cap here with hardened ward. So in terms of PvE stuff, Bastion is pointless. There's no point in running Bastion, any points in the Bastion at all anymore. Now whether ZOS is going to update Bastion, so it's something like increases the shield cap or something, I don't know. There are plenty of other shields that are not affected by this cap at all. So, for example, the Templar shield, Sun shield is not affected by this. The Dragon Knight's Igneous shield, Fragmented shield, that's not affected by the shield cap. And then Bone shield is not affected by the shield cap either. So there's a lot of other shields that aren't affected by the shield cap. It's only the sword shield and the light armor shield that has that health cap. So there's a very, very good chance. In fact, I would probably put money on ZOS not changing Bastion, because I'm anticipating the rationale being, well, it affects Bone Shield, it affects Ignis Shields, it affects the Templar Sun Shield, it affects Absorb Magic Shield, there's no point in changing Bastion because it only affects 2 skills instead of, you know, the other myriad of skills that Bastion currently affects on Murkmire. So I'm not anticipating them changing how Bastion works at all. So for PvE, it doesn't seem like the shield, you're not gonna have any issues hitting the shield size. Again, they might change how Max Magicka is associated with larger shields, so they might, for example, make it so you need more Magicka in order to get to that shield cap, but assuming they don't change that formula, it's going to be very, very easy to get to that shield cap. Now, a lot of people have been wondering, you know, this smaller shield size, how bad is it going to affect PvE damage? And I'm going to do a video basically running through VMA and showing you guys how much of a difference it actually is. I'm going to try to run it through with a shield, so you guys can kind of see, am I dying more often, basically. I mean, I'm not going to show you guys the entire VMA run. I'll probably just do the last round, the last stage or something, but you guys will probably be able to get a sense of how shields are performing in VMA and kind of translate that into trials. I've already did the math on the damage shield changes, and it's a very, very small nerf. It's maybe 5% increase, I should say decrease to the damage you can take before all mitigation is taken into consideration, before it's a one-shot. So it's really not that big of a nerf, so I'm not anticipating this affecting PvE at all. Shields are not really meant for kind of eat a lot of damage. It's really meant for eat some of the damage, so that way I don't die immediately, or I don't take as much damage, so that way our healer can heal me up back to full. It's more of an emergency button, not necessarily something you should be spamming in a trial or anything like that. So for PvE, I don't anticipate this change really doing anything for PvE, but for PvP, that's where things get a little bit interesting. So I'm going to swap over to a PvP setup here. Now, so this is one of the setups that I use if I ever PvP on my Sork. It's not very often that I do that, but this is one of the setups that I run. So I typically run Scoria with either Shacklebreaker or Slodes, and then I have Lich as my back bar set here, and then I have Master's Inferno as my front bar set. So this is what my stats look like on my front bar. So let's go ahead and jump into Cyrodiil here so we can get our Battle Spirit bonuses on our health and all of our resources, as well as our shields. And then we'll see how shield stacking works, how shields work in a PvP environment. Now remember that Battle Spirit cuts the effectiveness of your shields in half. So in theory, we should be seeing half of our shield strength. Now again, the tooltips are bugged, so we're not able to use our tooltips, so we will have to cast our shields instead. Alright, so we're going to actually, let me see if I can get a respec scroll. So we're going to start off with Harness and Empowered Ward first, because those are the smaller shields, so we kind of want to see how the smaller shields work first. Alright, so we can see right now with this particular build we have about 20k health or so. So 40% of 28k would be, it would be roughly 11k or so. So we can see we're at 6386 out of 28k, so we're sitting at probably around a little bit less than 25% of our max health in terms of shield size. So that's what it looks like right now. They did fix how Battle Spirit was kind of scaling with things. So one shield right now is about 25% of your max health. And let's see what happens if we decide to shield stack. So let's say, let's take out Rune Cage here. How do I not have 5 pieces of light armor? Should have 5 pieces of light armor. Oh, I don't. Hold on. I need to put on Light Scoria. Yeah, this does change this a little bit, but that's not that big of a deal. So with both of our shields up, we are pitting probably just shy of around 50% of our max health in terms of shield size. And if we decide to go even further and use Healing Ward, we're hitting about just over 50%. So shield stacking in PvP is not going to be very effective anymore. Now that being said, you have to remember that shields do inherit your spell resistance, your physical resistance, and your crit resistance. So because now your shields have resistances, you can pretty much use whatever resistances you have here. So in my case, if I have my Boundless Storm up, I'm sitting at about 25% spell, 23% physical. So you can pretty much increase your shield size by about that much. So this 12k, you can increase it by about 25% or so, so another 3k. So it's really an effective 15k shields. So it's still smaller than what it is on live right now, but it's still definitely a nerf to shield stacking in general. Now, of course, I do not really have that much. One thing, gotta actually swap back to our larger shields and basically see how much of a difference that makes. So right now with our small shield size stacking, all three shields combined, we have 14.5k. So now let's go ahead and use our respec scroll. Let's change to dampen and hardened and see how, see how much of a difference that is. So we're at 17.4k, so we gained about 2k shields or so from using hardened and dampen instead of harness and empowered. And again, if you add in that 25% or so from having your resistances all the way up, then you're really looking at closer to about a 2.5k increase in your shield size. So that's kind of the trade-off that you gotta decide to make there. Do you want the additional shields in exchange for a little bit of additional resource management? Because remember that Empowered does give you minor intellect, so you do get 10% additional magicka regen. So that's something you want to take into consideration there. So obviously you can give a little bit more max magicka here. So I'm actually running 2 Swift and 1 Triune, but you could, if you want to give up Swift, you could go 3 max magicka enchants. I also have all multi. I have all prismatics. You could obviously change these out for magicka if you'd like and just give up a little bit of health. We do have all of our attribute points into magicka, so there's no way to boost our magicka beyond that. So the fact that we aren't quite at the shield cap, the hard shield cap with Empowered and Hardened in Cyrodiil, does mean that Bastion might be of use in PvP because you will still be able to get higher shields. So if we go ahead and, so let me just remember what our shield size is with all of our stacks. It's 17.4. So if we go ahead and put these into Bastion here, we should see a overall higher shield. So yes, we do see higher shields here. So in terms of PvP, Bastion might still be worth running just because 1 shield does not get you up to the hard cap that is provided. So you can see here we're sitting at maybe about 33% of our shield cap, where the cap with Hardened Ward is actually 50%. So obviously we can still get higher and higher up to that 50% cap there. So while if you really try to, you could, in theory, basically get a 100% damage shield with dampen and stacking dampen magicka and hardened ward, but it is definitely a lot harder to do so now compared to how it is on live. You will have to sacrifice a little bit in order to get the max magicka up. You'll have to sacrifice some CP to put some points in their Bastion. So in essence, Zos has managed to basically nerf shield stacking by a considerable margin. Again, I'm not very well versed in PvP, but just looking at how I play Sorc right now versus how I play Sorc, how the Sorc shield sizes look here, it does seem like a nerf, but it's not actually that big of a nerf when you take into consideration that shields do inherit resistances now. So again, like if you have 25% resistances, you can basically tack on additional 25% shield strength to the shields that you have to get really your effective shield size. So that is it for this video. Please let me know down in the comment section below, all of you PvPers, what you guys think of this now that they've managed to fix how Battle Spirit scales with your shields. I do kind of want to hear what you guys think about basically Empowered versus Hardened, Harness versus Dampen, and kind of how these changes basically have either killed or nerfed or not done anything to the shield stacking builds that you guys see or experience out in Battlegrounds or in Cyrodiil. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys found this informative. Again, please leave any comments down below as to your thoughts behind these shield changes, so that way we can kind of funnel them through the class reps, maybe talk with a couple of people, maybe post on the forums, and try to kind of voice our concerns or any sort of feedback that we have to ZOS. Hopefully they'll take that feedback and do something constructive with it. Hope you guys found this video informative, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.